Mr. Mandel.
Oh, I thought this was America.
Hey,
I thought this was America where we can debate freely.
Hey, sister, listen to me. Don't do that. I got this. Don't do that.
They shouldn't have let him in.
No, this is America. He can be here. Don't do that. Don't embarrass me.
I'm not embarrassing.
No, you don't do that.
But to bring that white man in the black community like that.
You don't have to leave, man.
I'm finished.
Okay.
But
please.
don't you suck up to him.
Listen.
He's in the black community.
I'm doing my job. And I'm
He's calling my parents thugs.
Ma'am,
I'm
the moderator. I'm in charge. I want you to sit down and be quiet.
Let me tell you something, ma'am.
Mr. Mandel.
I put my life in the hands of young black guys. I had young black men put their life in my hand in the United States Marine Corps and 2 tours in Iraq. So don't stand there and lecture me. Those are my brothers. Whether they were black or they were white or they were Hispanic or they were Asian, those are my brothers in the Marine Corps. So don't stand there and lecture me about race and color. We put our lives in each other's hands. Those are my brothers as Marines.
Mr. Mandel, I'm the moderator over here. I'm asking you to pay attention to me.
Alright guys, so I'm going to react to some crazy highlights from this debate between 2 Ohio Senate candidates. Mr. Josh Mandel, who's a Republican, and Miss Morgan Harper, who's a Democrat. Now I'm going to tell you something, right? This debate went off the rails, okay? These are just some of the highlights here of some exchanges, but the video I played at the beginning of this video kind of shows you kind of where this debate went, okay? It was crazy, right? It was crazy. So if you want to watch the full thing, I'll probably include a link to it in the description if I don't forget, so you guys can watch the full thing if you want to watch it, right? But they're basically running for an Ohio Senate seat, okay, for U.S. Senate. And during this debate, this candidate right here, Miss Morgan Harper, she basically is going to pull the race card as this guy, Mr. Josh Mandel, basically ask her to answer yes or no on simple questions, right? And she just can't answer yes or no, like a typical politician, right? So when she's trapped, right, and trying to figure out how to get out of this hole that she's dug herself into, not wanting to answer simple questions, she pulls the race card, right? As this guy is swinging at her with his brass, you know what, okay? That's what he's doing, okay? That's what's happening here. And I found it to be pretty fascinating stuff. So I'm gonna react to it, but before I get into this, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel and you want to support what I do, you can do that using the links in the description below. You can support the Patreon, you can support the PayPal, you can support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you would like to do so. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this debate.
I told that story earlier about being at Town Hall, the bar and restaurant down the street, where I told folks that I'm going to debate Morgan Harper. She's like AOC, almost only smarter. After hearing that answer, I actually think she's like AOC, only dumber.
Bruh, okay, so I mean, listen, man, listen. I'm not the biggest fan of just outright insults like that, but after actually like watching this exchange and watching the debate, I think that there's some credibility to what this guy is saying, okay? Because you look at this girl's platform, she is basically like AOC, okay? She is like AOC, and it's gonna show up here later on as we get through these highlights.
Because the reality is, if we had universal health care in this country, it would bring down the quality of health care for every American citizen.
Would you please tell us if you support mandatory COVID vaccinations for all undocumented aliens, as well as for all children as young as 2 years old?
So we have been living with this coronavirus pandemic for almost 2 years now. That's what leadership looks like, and that's what I've been about for the entire past 2 years.
I believe the question was, are you for or against mandatory vaccines for illegal immigrants? I'm going to yield 10 seconds of my time to Morgan to answer that question. Are you for or against mandatory vaccines for illegal immigrants?
That is not a focus of what people...
Are you for or against it? You're running for the United States Senate. You got to answer questions. You might have to decide this. Are you for or against mandatory vaccines for illegal immigrants?
That is not what...
Wait, who's the politician here? I'm going to ask for a third time. Are you for or against mandatory vaccines for illegal immigrants?
That's not what we're focused on right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that was the question, right? I think the question was, are you for mandatory vaccination for illegal immigrants and children as young as 2, right? So it's not even just about illegals, which is what he's focusing on here. It's about also children as well, too, like children as young as 2. Okay, and we all know how in-depth we can get about that conversation, but I'm not going to in this video. I'm just saying, right, that there are legitimate questions that have to be had here about this policy, because this is something that Democrats have been trying to force on people, right? Either through rhetoric or through flat-out policy or mandates like Joe Biden, okay? So, I mean, it's a simple yes or no question. If you're not for the mandate, say, hey, no, I'm not for it being mandatory. If you are for the mandates, then say, yeah, I am for it being mandatory, right? It's really that simple. But again, like a typical politician, she just won't answer the question about, well, it's not of importance. No, it is important. You're advocating for a mandatory medical procedure, right? I think the American people should know what your position is on that.
you've seen it here first. You cannot run for the United States Senate and be afraid to answer simple questions. Of course, I am strongly against vaccine mandates for our kids. I'm strongly against allowing any illegal immigrants into this country.
Would you please tell us if
Liberals and libertarians too probably not gonna like that. Right? They're probably not gonna like that.
you support eliminating bail for poor people when they're arrested?
So I support looking at our criminal justice system holistically. It is time for us,
AKA, yeah, I'm for it. Right? I'm for it. I'm for progressive criminal justice reform. That's basically what she tried to say.
to have a U.S. Senator who is for us every single day. It's our turn, Ohio.
Morgan, for someone who's never held public office, you sound like you've been in the swamp for 30 years. The question was, in case you didn't hear it, are you for or against eliminating bail? Are you for or against eliminating bail?
You are not the moderator of this debate, okay? And so this is your time to
So she's losing it. She's losing it right now because this guy is not letting her walk away from just giving some generic answer to a very specific question. Like, are you for eliminating bail for poor people? Right? The same policies that we've seen that have cost people their lives, right? These people who are homeless that come out here and they commit all these crimes, okay, felonies, right? And in a lot of cases, they get arrested and then they're let out, right? Because they're too poor, right, to have a bail. So they let them back out on the streets and then they end up killing folks, right? So again, an important question that she should answer, but she doesn't, okay? Instead, she gives this generic answer, but we know what she's actually really for. If you look at her policy page, she'll tell you what she's actually really for, okay? She's for progressive criminal justice reform. That's what she's for.
answer questions. I just answered the question.
You don't have to get
now
angry.
it's your
You're
time.
getting very angry. Just
Not
calm
angry
down.
at all.
Mr. Mandel, you've got how much time roughly? 35 seconds to respond.
I'm against eliminating bail. We've seen time and time again, people get out of prison and they kill again, they rob again, they rape again. Of course we shouldn't get rid of bail. It's insane. I'll yield the rest of my time plus your 30 seconds so you can actually answer the question.
Here's the question that
I know she's so annoyed by that, right? Because this guy, again, this is smart as hell, okay? He's just answering it yes or no, okay? And for him, I mean, it's easy because all this stuff, you know, Republicans and conservatives agree with, right? So it's very easy for him to come up here and just say no or yes in regards to whether or not he agrees with these specific questions, right? But for her, it's hard because, again, she's an AOC wannabe, right? We've seen these types run for Congress. At least she's not, you know, campaigning on elect garden tools. But at the same time, she's not answering the question, right? And she's getting annoyed because this guy is just answering the question yes or no and then yielding the time back to her, which is keeping the pressure on her and not allowing her to avoid answering the question.
Ohioans really want you to answer. Why are you running for the United States Senate? What is your vision for us as a state? What is your answer to the fact that we have a 24-year-old getting killed down the street just 2 days ago?
30 seconds.
First of all, Morgan, are you okay? Like the question was about big tech and you're talking about immigration. Are you okay? And second of all, why are you getting so angry? You don't have to get angry. The reality is these big tech companies are the
Bruh,
enemy.
she's so pissed.
Let's talk about what's radical and loony. That any time a black woman is standing before you and has an opinion, that somehow that suddenly becomes angry and out of line.
Here we
So
go.
that's radical. And you better be prepared to have a lot of black people stating what we need and what we are advocating for in front of you, and be able to do that without pulling on racist tropes, because that's what we've heard a lot of tonight.
Oh man, here we go, right? So he's basically like, listen, you know, you need to calm down a little bit, right? You seem a little angry, and she was angry. And listen, here's the thing, I don't really blame her for being angry, because dude was kind of like just putting her on the spot. He continued to put her on the spot. I mean, smart as hell on his part, okay? And it's very clear she was angry. So I think him calling her out about being angry, I think is when she kind of exploded and just said, oh, you know what, I'm just going to play the race card here, right? You're just trying to call me an angry black woman. Which, I mean, in my opinion, as a black person here looking at this woman, I wouldn't be able to tell that she's black with 100% certainty just by looking at her, okay? She could be just like her Lord and Savior, AOC, right? She could be Puerto Rican, okay? I think that's what AOC is, Puerto Rican or something, okay? She could be that. She could be Hispanic. She could be something else. She doesn't necessarily have to be black, okay? But, of course, she's pulling the race card here and saying, you're calling me angry because I'm a black woman, right? And you're pulling on racist tropes. You're a racist, okay? And see, again, that's how you deflect from the fact that she doesn't have a real answer on some very, very, very important issues. We need to know how you feel about mandatory vaccinations. We need to know how you feel about progressive criminal justice reform, right? Letting criminals out in the street. We need to know how you feel about that, right? Asking those questions and then you getting angry because you're getting called out for not answering those questions, right? And that's not racist. That's just simply the dude saying, hey, listen, you're not answering the questions and you're getting angry. Why are you getting angry about it for? She ain't like that.
And so what the question was about was creating economic opportunity for the black community. And it should be a priority for anyone who's thinking of being in the U.S. Senate. And
I just think it's a form of racism to say that we should have certain economic development for certain races and certain, it's just like how Joe Biden, I think it's racist where he says he's only going to nominate a black woman. How about nominating the most qualified person as possible for the Supreme Court? And if it ends up being a black woman, so be it. But let's judge people and make decisions as public policymakers based on the merit. Let's do what's best for all the people in Ohio.
So here's the thing, right? She's basically trying to turn the conversation to, well, I'm focused on the black community, right? I'm focused on economic opportunity and development for black people, okay? And here's the thing, man. I think what people got to understand is that, you know, there's ways to frame policies, right, without having to try to play this, oh, well, you know, I'm focused on black people and he's not, therefore he's racist. See, again, at the end of the day, you're a politician and you're running for everybody, right? You're representing everybody, especially as a senator, right? You're there to represent your state. There's white people in your state, there's Hispanic people in your state, there's black people in your state, there's Asian people, there's people from all different races and cultures, right? And overall, you really should be talking about creating economic opportunity for everybody, right? How am I going to create economic opportunity, particularly, in my opinion, for those who don't necessarily have those opportunities, right? For those communities that need more help, right? For example, it doesn't necessarily have to be the black community per se. It can say, hey, for rural communities, right? For communities where there's not as much jobs, right? How are we going to bring jobs back to middle America, okay? That's how you really should be talking about the conversation, right? You shouldn't be necessarily racializing it as much as you be talking about, okay, how do we create opportunity for Americans that need it the most and just focus on helping Americans out in general, right? That's how you keep it as less divisive as possible, right?
Okay.
What if it wasn't for Joe Biden?
Okay, no more outbursts. I'm asking, please respect the candidates. And that's been round 2 of our debate. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
She probably said, "Don't touch me." She didn't like that boy. See, at that point, this guy, he was trolling her at this point, okay? Because he knows that she don't really like him like that, and him going up for the handshake and the touch. Wouldn't be surprised if she started making some accusations about this guy, right? It wouldn't be surprised if some Me Too come up, some, oh, he touched me inappropriately, blah, 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 right? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that came up. She is salty. She was definitely salty about how that debate ended, for sure. But again, I found that to be hilarious, how that went down. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.